Before the whole hacker part of the episode and then the reveal of Hina's identity and how she connects to the professor, I was already ready to say that this was my personal favorite episode of the day I became a god. Don't get mistaken, the whole emotional romance between our boy and his love interest was an amazing episode. Her family dynamic I still think is the best well-written part of the show. Just for me, on an entertainment level, the movie, the setup, the comedy, unironically, this is my favorite comedy anime of the season. It has so much funny moments, which puts into perspective because there's been new comments that have come out. The creator behind this show, June, has claimed that this is going to be the saddest anime of all time. Now, that's not going to happen because it's impossible to create the saddest anime of all time. If you ask me, Anohana's is my personal saddest anime. Some people say Clannad. Everyone has a different opinion, but it does put into perspective that if he's aiming to make you cry in these last 5 episodes, it's probably going to be damn sad at the very least, even if it's not the quote-unquote saddest anime. Holy shit. I really want to talk about the movie, but I gotta talk about the last few minutes. I was really pleasantly surprised by how much content we got with this hacker, and his kind of like prisoner keeper, kind of like ally buddy who really just wants to go home and sleep, but has to play caretaker for this crazy hacker dude who is on the professor's tail trying to figure out what he is keeping a secret. So they try to go into the facility that he worked at. No luck, there's just some simple moments, nothing crazy. I thought they're just going to end up the facility. So to my surprise, when they actually went to his building before it was starting to get teared down, I was like, okay, I wonder where they're going to go with this. I really like how this is a character who you think would be very socially awkward, just have a lot of issues with talking with random people. Because generally those hacker type characters who are they don't talk with too many people, so when they do, they really feel socially awkward. Instead, he started pretending like he was the grandson and was playing it up, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by that turn of events. Though the whole junkyard situation, I absolutely loved. It's so simple, it's very cliche when you break it down, the idea of like, okay, they just so happen to luckily get there just as it's starting to get crushed and recycled. Sure, realistically that's not going to happen, but we're in a show where this dude has hacker gloves ingrained into his body and he can hack into anything. I think it's okay to have a cliche moment here and there where you get to have a life or death situation where he's almost about to be crushed and recycled just in the nick of time when he gets the research data. And I was firmly believing that the research data was going to indicate that it was going to be something along the lines of like nuclear codes or, because you're talking about end of the world, doomsday plot, and that still could be something. But the photo reveal of Hina being held by clearly someone, you would assume the professor. Would it be surprising if it was like actually Yoda's dad or something like that? There would be quite a twist there. But it's interesting because this really does put into perspective that Hina is more than just a delusional girl. Some people may still have had some ifs, ands, or buts about, is she just a crazy girl? Did she escape a facility? But seemingly, she was very close, if not a daughter, to this professor by the looks of it. And that would indicate that she is a normal human. I still feel like I want to put my eggs in the basket that she's a creation, that she's a robot, some form of technological creation. Then again, it could be a modified human. Nonetheless, she was treated as seemingly a child, a daughter to this professor by the looks of that picture. And if that's the case, I wonder what her vision of the doomsday plot is, because the movie that they were filming, as funny and goofy as it was because of the actors and just how off script they went, and unfortunately for our boy, his sister was just all for it, and he always looked like the lunatic cutting off the script a little too soon. It seems to me like that was supposed to indicate that, this young girl that Hina was playing has to go away, it's her duty. So that to me indicates that this robotic body or her human body is going to die at some point. She has a thing that she has to do at the end of the world. The end of the world, I firmly have believed for many weeks now, is her own eternal lifespan. There could be an actual world plot that could end. It feels to me like we're building up to Hina being a sacrifice, a martyr of some sort to stop some sort of catastrophe, and that's why it's probably going to be a tearjerker. That probably is where we're going, but the actual individual threads that connect all of these things are what is very unclear right now. Based on this episode, I was actually a little thrown off because I thought this was really going to be the episode that we focus in more on the end of the world plot because we only have a week left. They gave us a decent chunk at the end, so it does indicate to me that each episode we're getting more into that plot. A part of me wants to say, well, we've seen works of his before, really feel like they rushed into the main plot or the sad part a little too fast and there wasn't enough room. But still thinking about how they've been pacing this and really putting the focus on this growing relationship between all of these characters, once again having everyone return because of the friendships and, just look at the whole moneylender. This dude was the biggest asshole. He came back and changed his ways. We don't need to see the individual development for him behind the scenes. We just know that this entire situation, getting his ass handed to him, turned him around and actually turned him into a fairly nice guy. I didn't even recognize him until they mentioned who he was. It seemingly is like all about this summer that they made all these connections and these great memories before obviously having to say goodbye to Hina in a tearful way, but the world probably isn't going to end, even if it does look like episode 11 or 10, they're building up to a doomsday plot device. I really like having her clearly know that she has to go fairly soon, and that's probably why she's so gung-ho about not having him do homework and stuff, because for whatever reason she wants to spend time with all these people. And I'm not totally sure what her connection is before meeting them, because the parents knew about her or knew about something of this girl would come to us at some point. The professor contacted, maybe the professor was related. It's very hard to say, but it's interesting how they're really able within like less than 5 minutes to really hammer in such a serious narrative. And so far, I would still say the pacing's on track to be probably one of the more better paced one-core Junmaida stories to date, in my honest opinion. I really like what this episode did, and like I mentioned, I thought everything before the serious stuff was some of my personal favorite. I just like the idea of this movie and how, once again, the big brother is just doing anything for his little sister. Of course, there's the jabs about the sister complex, but this show's anything but cliche and the big brother has a crush on his little sister. No. He just really, really respects his sister and wants to be the best brother for her. The kind of like fantastical movie that she designed I thought was actually pretty decent. If you remove the absurd acting and outtakes, it seems like a decent school project, all things considered. I mean, there's some ridiculously funny moments like the shot composition with CGI, putting them in the streets or in like the sky, when really they should just be in a temple. You can see it's an amateur job because there's all these like little, it's not a perfectly cut out image. It feels like it's a little sloppy, but is better than anyone else can do. So you gotta be impressed by Hina and what she was able to accomplish. I really like that this episode just had a lot of fun. And I was really content with last week and just the whole idea of the festival. And I said festivals can be some of the more intriguing plot lines, bringing everyone back that we haven't seen for a while and doing it even more. There's just so much self-awareness in the show. Like our boy is starting to be like, oh, if only mom was here, look at all the friends I made along the way. And then he's like, oh wait, mom's right here. Basically taking a jab, taking a piss at the shows that, you know, they lost their parents and now the parents would finally be looking down proud at them, when this boy has lost literally nothing as of yet. But then again, if we are going to lose Hina, it's going to be interesting to see if those lines are going to be like, he's going to try to play tough, but is going to break down and cry nonetheless. It's just a really fun episode. It's so goofy, it's so ridiculous, and I love how this is a show that does have so much comedy, yet it doesn't feel like it's a comedy to be designed like that. Generally with a show that's designed to make you laugh, it feels like that's all it is. It's a goofy show that doesn't have a lot of purpose with its characters, but the reason this show's comedy lands so well for me is individually all the characters' personalities, they work. They're fun, you don't really view them necessarily as a cardboard cutout or just a trope, and their natural dialogue towards the other, it feels like these characters have known each other for years. So that's why, like, when they do jab at each other or poke fun at each other, especially with this MILF and we have obviously Hina, they're always butting heads and competing with each other when the competing makes no sense. But if these two have known each other a decent while, even though they haven't technically known each other a decent while, it just feels like that's how the dialogue should go. So by having something that just feels like naturally a group of family and friends knowing each other for a long time, butting heads or cooperating, it makes everything feel realistically funny, as the general jokes that if you were to try to explain what made you laugh with your friends or your lover or your family to another person not a part of that scene, they're going to be like, why is that funny? But for you in that moment, it was funny. And because we feel like we're a part of these scenes, it's naturally amusing. And I really like that about this show. Just everything about it was fun. The egg scene had me rolling. I mean, she was making scrambled eggs with extra calcium and that was hilarious. Everything about it, and it almost felt like this was supposed to be almost like an emotional goodbye, or we're approaching it, and I wouldn't be surprised if next week or the week after we really get into that serious plotline, because if we're dedicating almost 5 minutes to it this episode, and we usually don't, it says to me we're getting into it sooner rather than later. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, and definitely your theories down below. Who do you think Hina is? Do you think she's human, or do you think she's more of a robotic creation? Whatever you're feeling, of course, let me know. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, show your support, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.